Good afternoon, participants. Welcome back after the short break. Let's start our next session, which is on identification of curriculum gap in content-based syllabus and teaching learning processes. For this, I would like to welcome and introduce our guest speaker for the session, Professor Sudhakar Reddy sir from MGIT Hyderabad. Professor K. Sudhakar Reddy is an experienced academician with 25 years of experience in academics, 1 year in industry, and 4 years in research. Presently, he is working as a professor and head in mechanical engineering department at MGIT Hyderabad. He has authored more than 50 publications in high impact and referred in national and international journals and conferences. Professor K. Sudhakar Reddy is an expert member of many national level committees like ESE, ASME, AIAA, SAE, and ISTE. He has also awarded with Best Innovation Project 2016 at national level by Indian National Academy of Engineering INAE, New Delhi. All India Council for Technical Education AICTE MOE has nominated as a Margdashak under the Margdashak initiative with an aim to mentor and enable technical education institution to achieve accreditation by National Board of Accreditation. So now I request Professor K. Sudhakar Reddy sir to take the session forward. Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you, madam.
So your voice is not audible?
Yeah, yes, I'm starting, madam.
Okay, sir.
Is it visible, madam?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Audio is okay, sufficient?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay,
fine.
thank you very much. Good afternoon, one and all. I take this opportunity to thank the Madam Komal Sherawat and principal of the institution and all the organizing committee members and also Professor Grover for giving this opportunity to share my ideas with all the participants, those who are attending today. I thank you one and all for this opportunity. And today's topic and my other guest speakers might have already discussed extensively about the National Board of Accreditation and other process parameters for the successful accreditation of the designated programs of any engineering department. And this particular program is NBA accreditation and the processes with the title. And my today's topic for this session is on identification of curriculum gaps and content beyond syllabus and teaching learning processes, and which comes under the criteria 2 of National Board of Accreditation, SAR. And as you know, there are 10 criteria are there. And briefly, I will try to explain to all the participants, faculty members. I hope faculty members, those who are attending today's session, belongs to the engineering departments like mechanical, electrical, electronics, computer science, and information technology. And might be the coordinator belongs to the MBA department. Some faculty from MBA might be attending this session. Yes. Then broadly, we will discuss the criteria 2 specifically, and in general, the remaining other criteria. Yeah, if you look at the NBA SAR, there are two parts. Part A is the institutional information, and Part B is the criteria-wise summary. And these particular criteria were distributed rightly by the organizers. And my turn is for the criteria number 2 today, and tomorrow at the same time my other criteria are 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, students' performance, faculty information and contributions, facilities and technical support, and continuous improvement for tomorrow's session. And today is exclusively regarding criteria 2, program curriculum and teaching learning processes. And the other 3 criteria are like criteria number 8, first year academics, criteria 9 is student support systems, criteria 10 is governance, institutional support, and financial resources. And part C of the NBA SAR belongs to the program outcomes and program specific outcomes. And here, as you are aware, and other speakers might have discussed about the SAR, then the main part of the SAR for the departments who are really planning to go for NBA accreditation first time is they have to collect a lot of information, and they have to collect the database from the stakeholders, and they have to involve the large number of stakeholders and collect the bundles of data regarding all the achievements of the students and the faculty achievements and institutional achievements. Okay. Therefore, here, and this particular NBA SAR is again is like a tier 1 and a tier 2 institutions. And I understand this your particular institution, those who are organizing this particular program belongs to tier 2 institution, a women's engineering college affiliated to some university. Therefore, with reference to tier 2 only, today I am presenting my discussion regarding program curriculum and teaching learning processes. Right. Therefore, I think you might be having a clear idea about the requirements for getting the NBA accreditation for 3 years, NBA accreditation for 5 years under tier 2 institutions. Okay, that is not the part of the today's discussion. And main part of this curriculum and teaching learning process is mainly for the attainments of NBA defined engineering graduates or program outcomes. NBA has already defined 12 program outcomes like PO1, PO2, PO3 to PO12, and also program specific outcomes. And these program specific outcomes are left to the individual department specific to their program being accredited. Then, as you are aware, and other speakers might have already discussed about this program outcomes, just briefly, I will go through for 1 or 2 minutes for this program outcomes. And first program outcome is engineering knowledge. And second program outcome is problem analysis. And third one is design and development of solutions, and which is very, very important for the core engineering branches, especially design solution for complex engineering problems and design system components, okay, or process that meet the specific needs with appropriate consideration for public health, safety, and cultural, societal, and environmental considerations. Therefore, there are many things are added in the program outcome 3. Then conducting investigations on complex problems, modern tool usage. This is again one of the important tool being used by nowadays. It's also accommodated, well accommodated, especially in our curriculum by the autonomous institutions or affiliating institutions, and universities also playing a more emphasis on the curriculum which relates to the modern tool usage. Okay, that we will see that. Then other program outcomes, 6 is engineer and society. 7th one is environment and sustainability. 8th, ethics. Apply ethical principles and commit to the professional ethics and responsibilities and norms of the engineering practice. Okay, where, and most of the times as a teachers or faculty members, we teach the students the ethical practices, the ethics to be followed as a student, the ethics to be followed as a professional after successful completion of his undergraduation. Okay, then here, then PO9, individual and teamwork, where we'll give the more emphasis in the 7th semester and 8th semester in some of the universities, and where the individual and teamwork will be accommodated in the with reference to the adding the mini project or main projects, and asking the students to work in a teams, like in a project presentations, project exhibitions, and asking the students to participate in professional activities, etc. And that plays very important in program outcome 9. Then communication abilities, how effectively a student is communicating with with his peers and with other people, and which plays very important role as an engineer. And where the notion was, and good engineers will not communicate properly. That was the notion. But today, it is very difficult without the proper communication to the students. Then the PO11, project management and finance, and which is very, very important as a multidisciplinary knowledge for all the students, where we accommodate in our curriculum, like in the basic economics, basic finances, basic management science, and other things we will be adding in our curriculum for to meeting this requirement. And the last one is lifelong learning, and the recognize the need. Therefore, the stakeholder must recognize the need to learn lifelong. Therefore, we as a faculty members, it is our continuous endeavor to learn more and more continuously, year on year, semester to semester, and we are on the job of learning. But at the same time, the student who is graduating from a particular program, he must understand the need to learn the courses or knowledge and skills in a lifelong manner. Therefore, here, then why I am discussing these program outcomes is the entire NBA program outcomes are especially, and also, and NBA has given the flexibility to add 2 program specific outcomes, maybe 3, and sometimes some institutions will add only 1. But the better thing is neither 1 nor 3 are not good. Only it is better is 2 program specific outcomes can be added, which are being not covered in the 12 program outcomes. That is the better thing. Therefore, if your particular course is a specialized course like mechatronics and nanotechnology and biotechnology, some other courses are there, then you can add specific to your program, which you are observing in your graduates, that they can able to meet these requirements of attaining this particular program specific outcomes. Okay, therefore, we can judiciously define 2 program specific outcomes in our particular program, right? But that must be met by at the end of the graduation. Then coming back to the actual topic of program curriculum and teaching learning processes. Therefore, if you look at this in an NBA document in SAR, and while filling, therefore I will be discussing while explaining the importance of the topic, and it is also useful for the beginners or the people, those who are applying first time to NBA accreditation, and how to write the documentation also I will try to present the data today, right? Then the important part is, if you look at the document of NBA, what is given in the NBA document is 2.1 program curriculum under criteria 2. Then 2.1.1 is very important here. Therefore, most of the people, they may not score good marks in this particular aspect, because they have to prove that they are complying with the university curriculum. They have properly identified the curriculum gaps. They have properly covered the curriculum gaps through content beyond syllabus discussed during the semesters, and also by organizing many activities by involving the other stakeholders to fill these particular gaps. Okay. Therefore, here everything is by documentary evidence. NBA will look into the aspects only by the documentary evidences. Then if you look at the 2.1.1, what is mentioned is state the process used to identify extent of compliance of the university curriculum. for attaining the program outcomes, program specific outcomes, as mentioned in Annexure 1. That is why I discussed it in the first two slides, what are the program outcomes and program specific outcomes, and also mention the identified curricular gaps, if any. Okay, that is why the entire NPA accreditation, as you know, is a outcome-based document, and where the student-centric teaching and learning process one has to adopt. Okay, here the attainments of program outcomes and program specific outcomes are important. Therefore, you have to devise the methodologies, and you must have the best practices must be in place at your institution or at your department, where you can able to attain with minimum time and in a specified duration of the time. Okay, that is the program outcomes and program specific outcomes. Then how we are going to attain, and attainment of POs and PSOs is again the different topic. I think the other speaker might be discussing about the outcomes of this. But the program curriculum which we are going to follow, the tier 2 institutions which are affiliated to the universities, they will follow the curriculum devised by the affiliating university. Therefore, what is happening here? There is nothing in the hands of the institutions or the departments to add a specific topic to the existing syllabus. Therefore, what is happening here? Suppose some particular institution is going for a NBA accreditation, or they want to do some extraordinary things and teach the students in a better way, therefore to make them a better engineers or professionals tomorrow. Therefore, in the process, what is hindering the departments and the institutions is the framing of the syllabus is not in their hands, and it's being devised by the university. But what else remaining with us, where you have the option of identifying the gaps in the curriculum devised by the university, and based on, after identifying the curricular gaps, then try to fill these gaps properly in a time-bound manner by organizing and following the best practices. That is very important in simple sense. The simple sense is, for university curriculum is not in the hands of the institutions. Then what is only available with us? Only thing is identifying the curricular gaps is in the hands of the institution. Then once you identify these curriculum gaps, therefore you can comply. Therefore you will have the compliance of the university curriculum. That is the three important aspects. Then only after identifying the curricular gaps, we will go for the content beyond the syllabus. Then how to cover the content beyond the syllabus. Okay, that we will discuss here. Okay, now if then what are the other things are there? During the NBA accreditation, what things you have to do is process used to identify extent of compliance of university curriculum for attaining POs and PSOs. The entire document revolves around COs, POs, PSOs, and these things only. Therefore, every action leads to the improvement in outcomes of COs, POs, and PSOs. Every action leads to the improvement in the outcomes of the course outcomes, program specific outcomes. Therefore, in such a way that you have to identify the curricular gaps, then course wise you have to identify. Course-wise, we have to identify the curriculum gaps. Therefore, the CO-PO mappings will help to achieve the improvement in outcome of the POs. Then, accordingly, these courses which are really helping to achieve the program-specific outcomes also we have to identify. That is very important. If your course is special course, a specific new innovative course is being introduced, like data science, like other programs, machine learning, mechatronics, biotechnology, nanotechnology, composite materials, some other courses which are very new and innovative. Therefore, that you can have the PSOs maybe 2 optimum number in NBA is 2 PSOs you can be able to define and identify the courses which will meet the requirement of PSOs attainment. Okay, and other curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular activities which will help to attain the these POs, PSOs. We will see that. Okay, right here. Then list the curricular gaps for the attainment of defined POs and PSOs. As I told you, POs are already defined by NBA and POs are identified by the institution in the program, identified by the department. PSOs identified by the department. Then what we are doing here, we are only listing out the curricular gaps by the department committee. Department, DAB, Department Accreditation Board, Department Academic Committee, they have to identify the curricular gaps properly for attainment of these POs and PSOs. That is important here. Of course, COs. First COs, then POs and PSOs. We will see now how we can able to how you can able to prepare the documentation. I will show you in the next slide. Then what are the things the NBA visiting committee expects from this program or head of the department and the faculty to show the documentary evidences for this 2.1.1 compliance. Documentary evidence to indicate the process which ensures mapping compliance of university curriculum with the POs and PSOs. Identification of gaps they will ask. Therefore, you have to show the university curriculum with the POs already defined by NBA. Already then this is by the department. Okay, identification by the department. Identify curricular gaps and its appropriateness. Whether you have identified properly or not is very important. These curricular gaps identified are proper or not, it is very important. That you have to be very careful. Therefore, you should have the committee, departmental committee, and by involving the stakeholders, this you have to do very judiciously by involving the people from the industry, people from the professional societies, people from the senior faculty must be involved to identify the curricular gaps. That is by the stakeholders. Okay, if you ask a junior staff members who is handling a particular course, then identify the curricular gaps means he may not be in a position to identify it properly. Therefore, it is a judiciously you have to involve all the stakeholders. Therefore, after identifying it, then how to fill, minimize the gap for the attainment of CO, PO, and PSO. We have to look into that. Okay, this slide belongs to NBA requirement. Then how we are going to do it? You see here. How we are going to meet this requirement? Then here, this may be useful for the people. You can prepare. Okay, these are the things which I am presenting. Maybe of known to everybody, but just I will try to explain some of the basics of this. Then process used to identify extent of compliance of the university curriculum. You have to show the documentary evidence for all these things. That's why I'm presenting this slide. Extent of compliance of the university curriculum for attaining the POs and PSOs is shown in this following figure. Then suppose most of the institutions, they will present so much of documentary evidences to the institution, but they will be unable to show the real involvement. The important aspect is you can create bundles of data for the NBA visit. Okay, that is like a theoretical study. But practically, without involving the stakeholders is a very important. That is the practical. Therefore, the real involvement, NBA expects the real involvement of stakeholders in the process. Stakeholders in the process. That is very important. Then how do you show the proofs for the real involvement of the stakeholders? Okay, then you can create all these charts, you can create so much of data, and we can have backdated signatures, etc. is most of the people will do. But that is not the things where as an expert, we can easily identify whether it is a real involvement of the stakeholder is there or not, we can easily identify. That is why one has to be very careful. The head of the concerned head of the department and the coordinators and staff members, they must be very careful in the creation and preparation of the documents. Right. Then what you will do here, you have to classify the program curriculum into different categories like humanities and social sciences, as you know, basic science courses, engineering science courses, then professional core, then professional electives, then project work, seminar, and nowadays people are talking about internships. Okay, once you declassify these things into different categories, therefore it is easy to identify the curricular gaps in these basic groups, like in basic science, basic humanities and mathematics, engineering science, professional core subjects, professional elective subjects, and project work and seminar. In some of the universities, it is being offered at 7th semester, and in some of the universities, it is 8th semester. Okay, then after identifying this, program curriculum courses mapped with POs and PSOs. Then curriculum courses, that means COs. COs are mapped with POs and PSOs. PO1, PO2, PSO1, etc. That we have to map it. That is very, very important here. We map CO1, CO2. That means here CO1 means course outcome here. That means here for a particular course outcomes. In a particular course of X course, then what are the 6 course outcomes or 5 course outcomes that have to be properly mapped with POs and PSOs. And here, whether it is being mapped or not, but you have in a table, while preparing the table, we have to write all 12 POs, and if you have defined 2 PSOs, then write 2 PSOs, then which is highly correlated. Therefore, in the, as you know, low, medium, and high. Low and medium and high correlation. Therefore, the way it is being correlated as per NBA document, it should be like 1, 2, and 3. Therefore, here, some of the people, what they will do is, it is good, excellent, very good. Okay, good, very good, and excellent, they will write sometimes in some of the institutions or programs. Because if you write something good, something very good, some excellent, it is very difficult to quantify while preparing the documentation. Therefore, quantifiable analysis and mapping is very important here. Whatever you do here in NBA documentation, it must be quantifiable. Quantification is important. Quantification is important. Once you write 1, 2, 3, like low, medium, and high correlation, then you can able to find the percentage of attainment, percentage of etc.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Sir.
Sir, here, what do you mean by stakeholders, faculties?
Sir?
What do you mean by stakeholders? Faculties, do you mean faculties?
Okay, stakeholders.
Yeah. Do you mean faculties?
Thank you. Okay.
Do you mean faculties? Do you mean
stakeholder?
Yeah.
Yes. Stakeholders in NBA documentation. If you look at the NBA documentation, involvement of stakeholders is important. Suppose as head of the department and junior most faculty member sitting across the computer and making the documentation, like identify the curricular gaps, etc., etc., will not be a real process, effective process. Then here the stakeholders means there are internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Okay, the real stakeholders are the students, alumni, then parents, industry, professional societies. Okay, they are the main stakeholders. Present students, former students, alumni, the parents, and the industry and R&D organizations. Then professional societies like CSI, IEEE, as you know, ISTE, ASME, like other organizations. Okay. Therefore, while framing the syllabus, while identifying the curricular gaps, to fill the curricular gaps, therefore involving these people is very important. That is the main NBA documentation revolves around the stakeholders. Okay, sir. Therefore, here identify the curricular gaps and map with the COs and POs and PSOs. Then identification of gaps in the curriculum of a particular these groups like management, science, and professional professional elective project, seminar, etc. Then what you are doing, you are involving everybody, your faculty and alumni. Okay, for the description sake, you see here input from the industry. Industry is the this particular stakeholder, and academic experts like R&D organizations. Then our faculty members, is it not? Our faculty. Then alumni also. Then you can also involve the some of the few students to take their opinion. Then by involving taking the input from these people, the stakeholders, and identify for a particular course the gaps, okay, reasonable gaps, which can able to be fulfilled, okay, by organizing the or covering the content beyond syllabus topics, etc. Okay, we'll come back to that later. Then what we have to do, we have to send these suggestions to Board of Studies for revision in curriculum next time. Okay, they will not do immediately. Suppose you have identified curriculum was revised in a May 2021, it was revised, then it will be sent to the concerned affiliating institutions by June 2021. Therefore, what happens then in the department, we will have a meeting with the department academic board and other people. Then you might have identified some curricular gaps in the May 2021 revised syllabus. Then immediately, based on your involvement and discussions with all other stakeholders, then you might have identified some gaps in some 10 to 15 courses. Then what we have to do as per NBA is, you have to write a letter to the chairman board of studies. This is BOS, means chairman board of studies or registrar. Chairman board of studies, okay, or registrar. You have to send an official letter. Okay, there must be a proof of communication to the BOS chairman or registrar regarding your concerns about the gaps in the curriculum has to be sent to the university, because you cannot add on your own, because we are under affiliating institution. Okay, therefore corrective actions to bridge the curricular gaps. Then only what one can able to do it, you might have sent a letter to the BOS chairman. There it will be coming into effective maybe after 2 years or 3 years in some universities. But something is there in your hand, is it not? You will not wait for 2 to 3 years. Then immediately what you will do, whatever the curricular gaps you identified, then you will be on a planning action. You should have to one has to initiate and to fill these gaps. You must have the actions to fill the gaps. That is the important aspect. One has to do it, because we cannot wait for the university to revise the syllabus, and it may take 2 years and 3 years or sometimes 4 years. By that time, this batch will be graduated. Therefore, you identify the curricular gaps. That is the importance of this particular criteria, curricular gaps identification. I hope you are all understanding my way of explanation. And if you have any questions, we will discuss at the end. Right? Then what we have done here, the program curriculum courses are classified into following categories like humanities, basic technology, etc. Then professional elective courses and project work, seminar, and
Sir, your voice is not coming. It's not audible. Sir, your voice is not audible. Can you please unmute yourself?
Madam, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Can you able to see this, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
now
you.
it's audible, sir.
Yeah, please tell me whenever if anything happens to this online.
Sure,
Yeah,
sir.
please.
Yeah, please. Okay, I think it was there is a big at this session, at this slide only, I think. Can you able to see this slide here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Now I am just for the right. Thank you, madam. Now for the information to the people, departments or programs which are planning to go for this NB accreditation first time. Therefore, I am showing an a example slide only for your information. Example slide for your idea. Then how to prepare this mapping and the curricular gaps. I am just presenting an example. Okay, as we have divided these courses into different categories like humanities, basic sciences, engineering sciences, professional core courses and other things. Then how to map this, I am showing this slide for your benefit. Okay, the course code, course name, semester, credits, percentage of this particular course, and mapping with program outcomes here, and mapping with PSO, program specific outcomes. That means one means PSO1. This is PSO1 and 2 here. Then PSO1 and 2 here. Okay, PSO1 and 2. Then here, these are all the POs. Okay, just for illustrative purpose only. Okay, don't take this as a standard mapping, right? For your idea, I'm just displaying it, this particular slide. While submitting the SAR to the NBA, then you have to be exhaustively prepared and properly you have to map with particular courses to the engineering mathematics. Then really the whether it is really being mapped to these particular program outcomes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, and whether it is really mapped to this PSO 1 and 2, that we have to check and discuss by involving the real important stakeholders. Okay, this is one slide for your idea I am presenting. Then it's again similar slide and with basic sciences here, basic science courses with course code, course name, and what is the in which semester it is there, what are the credits to this particular course, and percentage of its contribution of this basic sciences to the entire curriculum. Then again you're mapping with program outcomes and mapping with program specific outcomes. Then this is the another slide for you. Then coming back to the professional courses and similar slide for professional core. Okay, and this is professional elective courses here.
Sir, slide not seen, sir.
Slide is not, audio is okay, sir?
Audio okay.
Audio slide not seen.
The slide is visible, sir.
Visible, no, madam. Yes, it is visible. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Right. Therefore, here, this particular slide belongs to the professional elective courses. Okay, how these particular courses are mapped here, like just I am taking the examples of a mechanical engineering courses. These are all the mechanical engineering courses for illustrative purpose only. Then last one is project work and seminar and other internship activities related to the particular course may be being offered in the 7th semester or in some institutions at 8th semester, and these things are project work in 7th semester and 8th semester, project 1 and 2, and how what are the particular program outcomes and what are the program specific outcomes which is being mapped. Okay, that we have to be very careful while preparing this. I am presenting for one academic year only. Whatever the data I am doing here, this is for particular academic year. For example, as per NBA documentation, current academic year, maybe now 2020-21 is the current academic year. Then similarly, you have to prepare for the remaining 2 academic years like 2019-20, 2018-19. 3 academic years documentation you have to prepare. You have to prepare the mapping like this. Okay, right? Because during these 3 academic years, there may be changes in the curriculum, revision in the curriculum, and you will have the different subjects in different semester. Its percentage of weightage may be varying, credits may be varying. Okay, accordingly, definitely mapping also will be changing, right? Then here, this is just for your illustrative purpose only. You have to prepare. One has to prepare in the department about this pie chart. Everybody has to prepare a pie chart and indicating its percentages which you have presented in the previous slides. Okay, the percentage of contribution of course component for the program curriculum. The program curriculum divided by the university only. Please understand here, because we are discussing about the tier 2 institutions. Okay, then gaps. Okay, this is just for an example only I am presenting here. You might have identified some gaps. Then what are the broad gap? Learn latest trends in industry. Okay, what are the latest trends is happening, technologies which are being developed by the industry, is a gap. Okay, definitely that will not be there in the that will not be part of the curriculum devised by the university. Then what we have to do as a particular thing, this belongs to the example belongs to mechanical engineering. Okay, then what are the latest things in mechanical engineering? Current trends and advanced technology used in industry is need to be learned, such as flexible manufacturing system, for example, additive manufacturing, and coordinate measuring machines, latest trends in automobile technology, then other internships on latest things, and some of the industry visits also. Okay, this is the general routine thing. Then here, what is this additive manufacturing? 3D printing. Then flexible manufacturing system is what? Related to the automation. Related to the automation in industry, like involving the robotics and other subjects. Okay, robotics and control systems. Then modern tool usage, as I told you, one of the 5th program outcomes, necessity of professional engineering course, hands-on experience, hands-on skill development. Then what are the things which are related to the softwares being trained by the department? Then ANSYS software, another CATIA software, Creo software, CFD software, assembly modeling using the SolidWorks software. Okay, just with respect to the mechanical engineering, I'm giving some idea. Then manufacturing using Pro Engineer software, and CAE, computer aided engineering, hypermesh, 3D printing, safety practices, and its audit. Okay, the skill development activities here. Then other communication skills. Okay, communication skills is also there in most of the universities in first year and third year. But still, most of the people, what they are doing is, as a part of the gap, they are starting the finishing schools. They are starting the finishing school in their institutions and making is the gap 3 as part of the curriculum, part of their curriculum, not university curriculum, and giving at least weekly 1 hour or 2 hours weekly. Then what they are doing as part of the finishing school content being taught in the particular classes at a level varies from first year to final year. Then reading, listening, speaking, writing skills, resume writing, report writing, behavioral skills, goal setting, presentation skills, public speaking, group discussion. Okay, these things vary from first year to final year. Okay, then what they are doing is a part of this gap, identifying the making the finishing school to happen, and these above things from first year to final year will be covered in weekly. This is by per week, giving 1 or 2 hours for all classes. Okay, these are the how gaps identified, how you have to show to the visiting committee, NBA visiting committee, that you have to show the documentary evidences that you are doing everything as per the procedure. That is nothing but the best practices being followed to identify the gaps, and after identifying the gaps, then how you are fulfilling and narrowing the gaps in the by way of this organizing the seminar, conferences, workshops, project presentation, professional activities, etc. Okay, then how these particular gaps which you have done, then how it is being mapped here. Program curriculum courses mapping with POs and POSs like in the other year. Okay, these are for the other academic year. You can plan for this like this, right? Then coming back to the next important item, teaching learning processes is one of the next important item in the NBA accreditation. Okay, this slide which I am presenting is as per the NBA document. What they are expecting, the sub criteria, sub items as per the NBA documentation I am presenting here. Then we will discuss from the next slide. What it is mentioning, teaching learning processes, there are 5 sub criteria are there: 2.2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. Okay, in the next half an hour, we will try to cover these things, basic things in the next half an hour. Teaching learning processes. Describe processes followed to improve quality of teaching and learning. Improve quality of teaching and learning. Okay, why this is coming now? First thing is you adopted the curriculum, university curriculum. Then based on the curriculum, you identified the gaps. Okay. After the gaps, you identify the action plan. You identify the action plan. Then these are the things. The next course is quality of teaching. Next important part is quality of teaching and learning in place at your institution is important. You see, these two things by the involving the stakeholders. Involving the stakeholders, you have to identify the gaps. Involving the stakeholders, you have to make an action plan. Then next thing is, this is nothing but implementation. Effective implementation. Because if you look at the NBA documentation and some of the institutions which are accredited, what the experts will comment is, process is in place but not effective. That is the general comments you will see from the experts. Because all the institutions, what they will do, okay, suppose next year we are planning for NBA accreditation, then they will be on the job of creating the documentation. Okay, bundles of the documentation they will be creating, but it is not being implemented properly. Therefore, you must have the proper plan, action plan by involving the stakeholders, and that must be implemented in a qualitative manner. Therefore, improve quality of teaching. How you can able to do this quality of teaching, you see the things one by one. First thing is adherence to academic calendar of the university and yours. Every department, every institution must prepare their own academic calendar. And implementation of pedagogical initiatives. Okay, we will see that one by one. Then I hope the participants who are now attending this particular workshop or STTP, and they might have already prepared their academic calendar. What we have to prepare in academic calendar is, you must keep in mind while preparing this academic calendar, the university calendar first. And you have to superimpose your action plan with specific requirements, specific action plans with the university academic calendar. Suppose university releases its academic calendar, almanac, then we have to superimpose in the same. That means I am planning to organize industrial visit during this third week. I am planning to organize one national conference fourth week. I am planning to organize one international workshop sixth week. Like that, you prepare your own academic calendar in tune, in line with university academic calendar. Okay, that must be, you have to prepare practically, and you have to show the document to the visiting NBA committee, right? Then quality of, what is the quality of teaching learning here? You should have the quality of laboratory experiments, recording observations, okay, the good initiatives, and analysis of the data, encouraging bright student, assisting weak students. Okay, we will discuss that. What is the bright and weak student? And ICT supported learning. Okay, now the order of the day is ICT enabled teaching and learning. ICT supported learning. Okay, that is the important aspect. Interactive classrooms, real life examples, and collaborative learning. Then how do you implement? Okay, is it possible for a ordinary institution?
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Sir.
Sir, we can maintain record for laboratory experiments, observations, and data analysis. We can prepare Excel sheet and get signed by HOD and the principal. Encouraging bright students, we can have a student counseling records, assisting weak students, student counseling record. ICT supported learning, national mission on education through ICT. You are meaning that one, sir?
Yes. Okay, you can go for the national mission, and we can have our own in-house ICT enabled teaching learning practices.
Okay, sir. Any certificated courses related to national mission on education through ICT, that will be recorded.
Yes, definitely. Whatever that is an achievement, actually. That is an achievement. Belongs to a particular faculty member, that must be kept as a record.
Sir, then how to maintain record for real life examples.
Real life examples means here, sir. Okay, suppose you have this some professional activity. Some professional activity is there, sir, like ASME, like Computer Society of India, IEEE chapters are there. Then what you will do? You will organize many project presentations, for example. Project presentations, is it not? Then project presentations is involving the students to do some amount of innovative activity, like real-time problems are being discussed or prepared and worked on by the students. That is the meaning of it. Real life
Sir,
exams.
Sir, in our department, we are conducting hardware exhibition every year. So we can take that one as a real life example like that.
Sure. That comes under project presentations, etc.
Okay, sir. Collaborative learning.
Collaborative learning means, therefore, it like in a project, it collaborating with others. Each student is collaborating with others. Suppose you are collaborating with industry.
Okay, sir.
Collaborating with an industry. For example, you have MOU with 10 industries.
Okay, sir.
MOU with 10 industries. Then what you have to do? You have to involve your students.
Okay, sir.
You have to involve, because most of the times what happens is only if some faculty members are being involved in MOU activities.
Okay, sir.
Like you belong to which department, sir?
Sir, we can take IST student chapters activities.
No, you belong to which department, sir?
ISTE IE student chapter activities.
No, you belong to which department?
Electronics and Communication Engineering department.
Okay, good. You belong to IEEE. Suppose IEEE chapter, sir, for example.
Okay, sir.
For electronics and electrical and computer science faculty, you please start an IEEE chapter if it is not there. Then in IEEE chapter, you might have some MOUs with some industries. Okay, sir. Therefore, in such activities, you must involve your students in a collaborative learning with the industry experts by organizing project presentations, project exhibitions, okay, etc. Like that. Is it,
Thank you,
sir?
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. You can involve your faculty members. Also, at the same time, involve your students in such activities. Okay, right. Then how do you do this? Achieve the above activities. Then here, adherence to academic calendar, 3 marks. That means generally, as you are preparing the academic calendar of the university in tune with university, that is the meaning of adherence to academic calendar. Then use of various instructional methods and pedagogical initiatives as mentioned above. Then methodologies to support weak students and encourage bright students. Then here, the important aspect is where different institutions have different planning to identify, or methodologies to identify the weak students and bright students actually. Then how do you identify the weak students and bright students? It varies from the institution to institution. Then, but generally, I will present in the next slide. It is based on their performance in the internal examinations being conducted by the department. Okay. Then based on their performance, based on attendance, then based on their IQ, and based on their performance in finishing schools, etc. Then you can classify weak and bright students. Then allot the mentors. Suppose bright students means at a particular certain percentage and above, this belongs to bright students. Okay, they are participating, they are in a seminar, conferences, workshops, and paper presentations. Weak students, they are still coping with the basic passing the examinations, getting the less than 60% marks in the internal examinations or universities examination. Then what you will do? You must devise the separate methodologies for weak students and bright students. Okay, then the common approach may not be successful for both the students. Okay, we will see in the next slide that. Then quality of classroom teaching, observation in a classroom. That means then most of the times what you have to do, quality of classroom means ICT enabled teaching is important. In most of the time, I will show you the next slide. Conduct of experiments. And what happens is observation in lab is very important. Then students concentration, students performance, students ability to grasp the experimental results, analyzing the experimental conclusions is very important. that we have to devise the rubrics to observe the students' performance in the laboratories. I will show you that. Continuous assessment in the laboratory through rubrics, student feedback, teaching learning processes. We will see all these one by one. Okay, what NBA committee expects? The NBA committee expects all these documentary evidences. You have to show all the documentary evidences of the academic calendar, documentary evidence to support implementation of the real life examples and collaborative learning, ICT, supported learning, interactive classrooms, etc. Nowadays it is webinars, online classes. Okay, all these things must be recorded. Every student participation in all such activities must be collected and prepare the documentation. 1 second, please. Then guidelines to identify weak and bright students. Suppose you have identified the guidelines, means you must have your your own plan that comes under guidelines. Then after identifying the weak and bright student, what is your action taken? Action taken. Then you can also ask your faculty to prepare the impact assessment. Impact assessment after your actions. Impact assessment after your action taken, post identification. Then whether the weak student might have become a bright student in next semester, and bright student definitely might be moving further. Therefore, the percentage of conversion from weak students to bright students is very important. That is the impact assessment you have to carry out. Impact assessment based on the guidelines devised by the particular department. Then classroom ambience, efforts to keep students engaged is very important, as you know, the basic thing. Quality of laboratory experience with respect to conducting, recording, observation, analysis, etc. Therefore, most of the times our students will conduct the experiments. Somebody will conduct, somebody will take the reading, and others will calculate. Then some students will prepare the graphs, etc. Therefore, here each student performance has to be verified and analyzed. That is important. You have to verify the interaction with the individual students. That matters here. Okay, that you have to show the proof. How do you show that proof? Then the record corrections. Suppose in most of the times suppose a student might have done 10 experiments here. Then you have to give the grading to each and every experiment every time. Then the experiment, then date of experiment, then the grade he got for that particular experiment. Okay, suppose he got 10 out of 10. Suppose internal evaluation is, for example, 10 marks. Then how many marks he got for the first experiment? Suppose he got only 7 marks. Then we have to explain to the student why he got only 7 marks. Other student in next experiment he might have got 9 marks. In next experiment he might have got 10 marks. Then 8 marks. Therefore, you take the average of these marks. Then that means this is the proof. You can able to present it to the visiting committee, and also student will understand what is his performance during all these weeks while conducting the experimentation. Okay. Then internal semester examinations, internal marks, practical record books like this record book, as I told you in the contents, you have to be. And every time, against every experiment, teacher must sign here. And most of the times, if you observe, okay, this is my observation in most of the institutions, what the teachers will do is just at the end of the semester, they will correct the record. They will, at the end of the semester, they will correct the record and give some marks, etc. Okay, that is not a good practice as per MBA, and of course, that is not a good practice as per the good teaching learning practices. Then finally, you see the feedback. As you know, most of the faculty members, of course, you belongs to, and people those who are attending is from the private institutions. I think, or maybe government, anything, anywhere. Therefore, the feedback from the students, from the stakeholders, okay, the documentary evidences which you are preparing for NBA document is one side, and the real feedback which you are taking from the students on the particular faculty members who taught a particular course. Therefore, here there are devised methods are devised. I will tell you. Then, as I told you, you have to be adherence to the university calendar. You have to be strictly. You have to be follow the university calendar by following your own curriculum, your own calendar of activity. On the basis of institute level calendar, departmental activity calendar is prepared, which include institute level activities, departmental activities such as industrial visits, hackathons, project competitions, workshops, guest lectures, internship program. You have to incorporate in your academic calendar. Then each faculty prepare the teaching plan as per the available instructional days mentioned in the academic calendar, and same is uploaded on the institute website. Okay, some people might be using the ERP softwares and student automation systems. Okay, institutional automation softwares, etc. Then you might have IQAC cell. Therefore, the IQAC cell plays very important role in the preparing the academic calendar and incorporating your calendar into the university calendar. Okay. Then what is this IQAC? Through IQAC, this must be monitored, and course delivery and academic calendar and internal audits. Therefore, because of this IQAC cell, internal quality assessment is very important, whether you are really following. And most of the institutions, what they are doing nowadays is they are only doing the internal audit. But NBA expect external audit, external academic audit. If you have not done this, if you are planning to go for NBA accreditation, then you plan for external academic audit, evaluation of these activities by the external committee members. That is very important. The reports you have to present, and it is having good number of marks in NBA accreditation. Sorry. Then here, next year, how you prepare university academic calendar, institutional academic calendar, departmental academic calendar. Then what is this institutional academic calendar? Suppose you might be organizing a common technical events, common national level conference, common international program being organized in association with our other departments, and institution day, college day, something will be comes under institutional academic calendar. That must be kept in mind while preparing the department activity calendar. Then individual faculty action plans can be incorporated. Then monitoring all academic timetables, academic activities by the departmental DAC, departmental academic committee, or IQAC cell, etc. That can be the good practice. That means process in place, and the process is also effective in terms of the implementation. Then various instructional methods. This is the very, very important. NBA expects what are the instructional methods being followed at a particular institution here. Then here chalk and talk method, practical demonstrations, then NPTEL lectures. Nowadays, we can ask the faculty members or also students to register for NPTEL lectures, not only as a mandatory NPTEL courses against to the university curriculum. Beyond that, you can ask the students and faculty members to register for NPTEL lectures. As you know, I think the people, those who are attending today also, they might have done some NPTEL courses, might have got some different certificate, gold, silver, etc. And encourage the students to register for NPTEL courses. Then the good lecture notes, then preparing the good question bank and asking the students to follow that. Then organize the group discussions as part of the finishing school activity, as I told you in the previous slide. Then use of ICT facilities in your department or institution. LCD projects and other ICT facilities are used to visualize the concepts of various courses during the curriculum content delivery as support tool to the chalk and talk. Okay, the practice of teaching of using chalk and talk has already gone. As you know, we are now in the online mode of delivering the lectures. Okay, the chalk and talk is over. Therefore, it is the ICT. Video lectures created by faculty. Okay, encourage your faculty members to create a video lectures. Of course, now we are all doing that. Whatever is being is discussed is recorded, and that lectures, whatever lectures we are taking, and that can be shared with all the students. Already we are doing by default. Then assignments, quality of assignments given to the students. Okay, that NBA checks the question papers, internal question paper, assignments, and its evaluation by the individual faculty member. That is very important. Quality of assignments given to, therefore you can vary the assignment type, nature of assignment, type of assignment, and method of evaluation, and marks, and innovative topics given to the students for different assignments. Okay, that record you have to maintain for every semester. Sample assignments and its evaluation, sample question papers, sample answer scripts must be kept as a record. Then your project work, very important. I will discuss about the project work. Then expert lectures organized to fill the gaps. Expert lectures organized to fill the gaps. Good project work initiated, and most of the time our students will be going for the outside for carrying out their project work to industries. Okay, some institutions encourage in-house projects. Some institutions encourage in-house projects. Some institutions encourage the industry-oriented projects. You can also in-house also you can encouraging the students to do the industry-related projects. Okay, using the modern tools, etc. Then organize the expert lectures, course and surveys with the students. Then other pedagogical initiatives being project-based learning. As I told you, the hands-on sessions are conducted to teach the theoretical concepts and immediate practical implementation. Then mini project-based real-world examples. Okay, the real-world examples means you ask the students to do a good project which is relevant to the industry or society. Then collaborative learning. Okay, collaborative learning like a mini modeling, mini projects, final projects with the other peers. Students will be collaborating with the people like industry experts. Then peer teaching and learning, virtual labs. Nowadays, the order of the day is the virtual labs. Okay, where we can also have the virtual lab presentations. Of course, there are many institutions in India now, IIITs and IITs and Pune Institution, College of Engineering, Pune. Many institutions now offering the facility of virtual labs to the affiliating institutions. Therefore, we can encourage the faculty and students to go for a virtual lab. Then regularly organize industrial visits. That is also very important. You have to keep the record. You have to keep the record of everything to the visiting team. Then methodology to support the weak students and encourage bright students. As you know, you have to, mentoring system will play a very important role in identifying. After identification, that means the action plan includes the mentoring action. Mentors must play a vital role to convert the weak students into bright students. Convert weak students into bright students. Therefore, divide the students and form the groups with 15 to 20 students and add a mentor for each mentor to each 15 to 20 students, or depending upon the number of faculty available in your department. Okay. Then how do you identify based on their HSC marks, based on their rank in the technical education merit list, based on their communication skills, based on their behavioral traits, theory and practical attendance, and because how regular to his class work, that is also plays very important role in identifying whether he is weak or interested student or not interested, okay, etc. Their performance in unit test, midterm test, online test, practice sessions. Also, you can take these things into consideration while preparing a weak and bright students. Okay. Therefore, accordingly, you have to support the weak students like mentoring, organize the remedial classes, give more number of assignments, discuss the progress with the weak students regularly, and involve the parents also, and to encourage the students. Okay, pairing the brighter students in group activities. Therefore, if you add some good students, brighter students, and involve, suppose in group activities, add one brighter students, therefore they will be doing some project activity, some paper presentation, participation in project presentation. If we add a group of weak students to one brighter students, definitely that makes some difference. He will be guiding along with the faculty members. Okay, that is the chances for the weak and brighter students. Then what you will offer to the brighter students, then you will encourage them further peer teaching, awarding the giving the awards, okay, advanced learning modes, giving the more facilities, etc. And you will encourage and give the financial support to participate in industry-based project and participate in workshops, and you will have the good project management encouragement, and you will maybe paying the registration fees for professional activities in and student association activities. Okay, these things you can able to encourage further the bright students. Okay, the quality of classroom teaching is also very important. As you know, the ambience plays very important role, and nowadays it is everything is a Wi-Fi enabled campus, Wi-Fi enabled department or classroom, and use all LCD projector, ICT tools, PPT presentations, display models, and video animations, etc. are the part of the nowadays are the part of the teaching and learning. You make these things part of the teaching and learning, then definitely you can able to see a wonderful change in the attitude of the faculty and students. Okay, continuously engage the student, regularly interact with the parents, students on a regular basis, and ask them to maintain a particular diary with the mentors, then observe the progress. Okay, the teacher can ask the students to have the quiz and group discussions, PowerPoint presentations. Okay, if you make a PowerPoint presentation a regular habit to the students, at least they will learn the computer knowledge. Okay, most of the students having computer knowledge, but they don't have the technical knowledge in using the computer. Then conduct of experiments in the laboratories, regularly correct the record, correct properly, correct it, and encourage students to participate in the improvement in the performance assessment. Okay, then assessment in the laboratory by rubrics. Okay, this is one of the rubrics for the continuous evaluation in the laboratories. Okay, those who are going for the NBA accreditation, they must implement the rubrics for assessment of the students in the laboratories and assessment of students in the communication skills laboratory, etc. Rubrics is a must. Okay, therefore you have to, it is not the direct assessment, it is by rubrics assessment, which cannot be measured directly. The things, the performance which cannot be measured directly, where you can implement the rubrics for the assessment of the same parameter, that is the performance of the student in a particular laboratory. Then how student is performing in the experiment, then how he is interpreting the results, how he is preparing the record, then how he is answering the oral examination and Viva OC. Therefore, as per the NBA guidelines, and where in a scale of 1, 2, 3, low correlation, medium correlation, and high correlation, then why have to, so you should not write any time this is good, this is very good, this is excellent. You should not prepare any document in NBA terminology. Everything must be quantifiable. Therefore, if you assess for all the 60 students in this format, then at the end of the day, for that class, you can have the what is the attainment, percentage of attainment or achievement. You can able to see whether it is 67%, whether it is 80%, okay, whether it is 90%. Suppose all the 60 students, they got 2 attainment, 60 into 2 equal to 120. 120 by total 60 students, 60, 120 by 2 equal to 2. Therefore, attainment is medium, is it not? Suppose if attainment is 2.4, is it not? Attainment is 2.4 means it is 80%. It is 80% because 2.4 by 3. 2.4 by 3 is nothing but the 80% attainment. Because the maximum is 3, then accordingly everything must be attainable, quantifiable manner only. You have to devise the rubrics in your NBA documentation. Okay, right. Then the student feedback plays very important. This FPADS is having 30 marks in NBA documentation. Then taking the student feedback in teaching learning practices also plays very, very important role. Of course, nowadays students are good students, unbiased. They are not giving the feedback, may not be giving in everywhere. That is a universal system. But you have to take the students' feedback in the form of FPADS. I think might have seen the NBA document, Faculty Performance Appraisal and Development System. Therefore, every department or the institution must have the faculty self-appraisal system. Self-appraisal system that must be collected in the form of the student feedback for every semester, at least once in the semester, and that should be there annually. That must be evaluated by the head of the department, must be evaluated by the principal, okay, based on the student involvement. Based on the student involvement, this is very important. This carries 30 marks. Therefore, if it is not there at a particular institution, you prepare it. FPADS, Faculty Performance Appraisal and Development System, a template you must prepare. You must take from the students. HOD must, with many parameters are there. Student feedback is one of the parameters to be incorporated in FPADS. Then that must be analyzed, evaluated by the head of the department and principal. Okay, these things must be there. Therefore, in the questionnaire of student feedback, complete questions, because NBA looks at the student feedback format, how you are taking, whether online feedback you are taking, offline feedback, how you are analyzing, what are the corrective actions, is also having very good number of marks in the NBA visit. Therefore, the communication skill, teaching skill, subject knowledge of the faculty, and other parameters also, it varies from the institution to institution. Right, this is the important document. You have to keep it ready for every semester and twice in every year. And in addition to this student feedback, you should have the FPADS also, and student feedback is one of the parameters in FPADS. Okay. Then feedback analysis and corrective actions. Then corrective actions is very important. FPADS 10 marks, corrective actions 20 marks is there in NBA. Okay. Then therefore, the quality of internal question papers, as you know. Okay, I will take next 5-10 minutes. Okay, Komalji?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now next 5-10 minutes, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, madam, thank you. And then, okay, these are the things we already discussed, but still we'll go see that. Then quality of internal semester question paper, assignments and evaluation. Therefore, all the faculty members, they must keep the record of these documents. Then in the process, entire head of the department, you must collect and keep it at one place, compile and...
Sir, one more question, sir. Sir, quality of semester question papers, is it enough to follow the Bloom taxonomy? That is sufficient for...
Exactly. You have to, because just following is only not enough. What is the performance of the students is very important here. You might be following the methodology, but what is their performance? Is it not, sir? Then what are the, based on this Bloom's taxonomy, what are the attainments of COs? Attainment of COs in a particular course is very important, because once you can able to attain the CO, then only you can able to attain the program outcomes. Okay, then only you can able to attain the program specific outcomes. That is important here. Okay, whether you might be following Bloom's taxonomy, whether you are not following Bloom's taxonomy is secondary, but whether you are attaining the course outcomes or program outcomes is very important here. But NBA insists on following Bloom's taxonomy level. Then 1 to 6, it is better to, in the internal question paper, you must mention what is the, suppose you have the question paper here. First question number 1 is there, some question. What is the corresponding CO to this particular question? You might have 6 COs, C1 to CO6 for a particular course. Okay, Suppose CO1 is there, this particular question is there. In first mid examination, you have two chapters is there. First question is there. This belongs to CO1. Then as you mentioned, you write the Bloom's taxonomy level 2. Then CO second question, then Bloom's taxonomy level, this may be CO2. Third question, this is maybe Bloom's taxonomy level 4. This is CO3. Like that, we have to prepare as a regular practice in our question papers. This is important for NBA. Okay, you have to keep the record of assignment, you have to keep the record of evaluation sheet, the relevance to COs. Okay, the relevance, really, this particular question belongs to CO1 or CO2 is very important here. That is why you have to involve the other committee members, like in a departmental academic committee. Therefore, the others should check the others paper. Okay, evaluate. In other term, we call it as an evaluation by others. Okay? While preparing the question paper, I don't know at your institution whether you are following this particular thing. If you are not following it, you please follow this methodology. This is the question. This is the question number. Question. Suppose define or devise or derive something, etc. Then a corresponding course outcome. What corresponding Bloom's taxonomy. What are the marks weightage you are giving? This how many marks you are giving? This may be 5 marks. This may be 5 marks. This may be 5 marks. Like this, you have to prepare your question paper. Okay. First mid and second mid. Mapping questions with course outcomes. You see here, mapping the course. This. Therefore, you should follow this methodology. Then quality of internal semester question paper assignment and its evaluation, we have to see properly and follow the Bloom's taxonomy accordingly. Evaluation also you have to be very careful and must maintain the transparency in evaluation. Then quality of assignment and its relevance to COs. Suppose you have prepared you are giving 2 assignments or 3 assignments to the student. Each assignment question, again you have to map with the COs. Again you have to map with CO1, CO2, CO3. Like that you have to map every assignment, every question paper, and every thing which you are sharing with the students. Okay, sir. Then these are the assessment things where teacher can able to assess the students individually, just for improving or implementing the teaching learning practices here. Then the next important thing is quality of student projects. As you know, NBA gives maximum weightage to student projects. Student projects are very important here. Therefore, here you divide the projects into different activities, different criteria, like which belongs to environment and safety, ethical practices, cost estimation, the standards being followed, the type of the application of the particular project, whether product oriented or research oriented or review oriented project work he has done. Okay, then which for this particular project work of 60 students in a class, maybe you have done 20 projects. These 20 projects, whether these belong, you map it. You map this project activity with program outcomes. Okay, maybe which may be coming to which program outcomes. Okay, or you can map it to CO, then corresponding PO, then corresponding PSO. You can able to map broadly. Broadly, you can do the type of the project 1, what is its title, then relevance to particular course which belongs to design, which belongs to thermal, belongs to management, etc. That you can able to do, and broadly these particular 3 projects belongs to PO5, where you have used the modern tool usage. That means you have used the software tools to study the design and evaluation, design and implementation, design of numerical investigations, etc. That you can able to map all the student projects. And next thing is the things which are coming under ethics, ethical practices. How do you evaluate ethical practices? Then you have to devise a rubric. Project evaluation is by rubrics only. Project evaluation by rubrics. Okay, as I told you, for the laboratory purpose, rubrics evaluation, you have to also have to use the rubrics for the project evaluation. Quality of student projects gives a maximum weightage and try to maintain live projects which are under working condition during the visits. That is very important. Project identification and guide allocation, NBA committee will look into these aspects, how you are allocating, how you are identifying the projects, which belongs to map the projects, map all the projects with POs and PSOs. Okay, then contributions, then like in areas, in which area they are doing, then publications, monitoring, you should have the monitoring committee, and also you can put a diary. You see here, weekly interactions, project guide and project group, maintain the project diary, project reviews, internal evaluation, project report submission, project assessment by external evaluation. Once, because in all project evaluations are by external evaluation only, that is the end semester examination. But you have the in between, before external evaluation, you will have the internal evaluation committee, maybe on a monthly basis, by devising the rubrics. This is very important. How in different stages, how you are monitoring the project work, that NBA will look into the real-time documentation. Okay, not the other documentation, the real-time documentation, evaluation, performance of the students, that will be observed. Okay, this is the individual and team performance, quality of completed projects, working prototypes. Then try to keep the working prototypes for the visit. Then NBA, based on the working prototypes, they will give a good number of marks to in the NBA visit, and that also give a good perception to the visiting committee. That means this particular department is doing a qualitative work and also practicing qualitative teaching learning practices in their department. Okay, like this, where you can have the different reviews, project review 1, 2, and what are the things you are planning, how you are evaluating, that you maintain the records. Then after completion of the records, then try to create and encourage students to submit the papers. Then you prepare this document. This is very important, gives maximum weightage in NBA visit. Student name, then ask the students to submit the papers based on their innovative work, etc. Name of the student, paper title, publication details, volume, ISSN or ISBN number, then in which domain they worked on, design, software development and coding or etc. machine learning. So some domains, you write the domain and relevance to POs and PSOs. You prepare this particular documentation is very important. Okay, 25 marks are there in this. Then you encourage the students, they may not be doing a good research oriented work, but ask them to present it somewhere. Then initiatives related to industry interaction is very, very important, as you know. Then the important thing is we have to encourage students to go for industrial visits, and we should have some industry supported laboratories. This is very important. Try to have at least one industry supported laboratories. There are marks allotted for this industry supported laboratories, and you conduct every time you complete the impact analysis of the industry institute interactions. Very, very important. NBA visiting committee will always ask for impact analysis and industry supported laboratories and its usage. You have to maintain the record of it. Okay, documentary evidences. Then initiatives related to industry interaction, this department industry advisory board or institute interaction cell or placement cell, whoever may be interacting, maintaining the liaison with the industry, therefore they must maintain the record of everything. Okay, industry connect program, placement cell activity, MOUs, interaction meeting with industry experts. Okay, partial delivery of the courses. Okay, try to have all these things. Faculty visits to the various industries on regular basis for their upgradation or for monitoring the student projects. Okay, then conduct the employer feedback, impact analysis of industry institute interaction and actions taken thereof. Okay, then the last one is initiatives related to industry internship and summer training. As you know, Nowadays, this is very, very important. You encourage your students to do maximum number of internship at every academic year, and encourage students to and take them to summer training or winter training activities. And finally, you do the impact analysis. In NBA documentation, if you look at the documentation, it carries a good number of marks for impact analysis of industrial training. Okay, sir, these are the things. Guest lectures, industrial visit, internships, seminars, skill development courses. Okay. Then you do the impact analysis and try to have the present the data in the form of the pie charts. Impact analysis in the form of pie charts. Okay. Thank you. Komalji.
Yes, sir. Respected participants, in case you have any query or question, please unmute yourself. So there's one query in the chat box.
Sir, please kindly provide your email ID, sir.
Yeah, sure.
I have collected only few points from your presentation, sir. But I need your help regarding this. Kindly share your email ID, sir.
Sure. It is there with Madam Komal Sherawat ji.
Yes, sir.
You can share my email ID, and I'm also typing for your benefit here.
Thank you. Yeah.
mgit.ac.in. Okay, I typed my email ID in the chat box. I hope I did some justification, but time is not sufficient actually. These NBA documents needs a lot of time to explain and to cover each and every point. And I will try to see that the points which are not covered tomorrow, I will try to add to the criteria 4, 5, 6, 7.
Sir, there is one query by Bhavna Suri ma'am in the chat box. If you can just answer for that. Thank you.
Bhavana Suri. Gap identification. Do we have to identify the gaps for every subject or the course? Okay, subject or course both are same, madam. Which is the need of industry for their employment. Gap identification should be done at the beginning of every semester. Yes. You have to, that is why the departmental committee must sit by involving the relevant stakeholders like industry, professional activity experts. Then based on the once you receive the university curriculum and sit and identify the curricular gaps at the beginning of the semester only. Because once you identify the gaps, then you can have the implementable action plans. During the semester, you can implement your actions. Okay, like organizing the seminars, organizing the expert lectures, organizing the workshops, organizing professional activities, encouraging the students to go for industrial visits, and you are planning for a industrial support laboratories, etc. These things belongs to the closing the gap. Therefore, you should have to plan well in advance before beginning of any semester for every course. If that every gap must be achievable or attainable, can be able to close the gap. Such a way you have to identify the gaps. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for explaining and guiding our participants towards identification of curriculum gap and teaching learning processes. It was truly an educative session, sir. Thank you so much for teaming up with us, sir.
Thank you, madam ji.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam.
And
Thank you.
respected participants, next session will be on work-life balance, key to a positive personality. And the session will be delivered by Mr. Sudhir Dua. And session will resume at 2:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Komal ji. Then I am signing off.